Everybody, we have a great show for you tonight. Hope you are surviving Hurricane Ida. Be safe. Don't do anything dumb. We got some distraction for you tonight if you're able to listen to us. On tonight's show, we're going to talk Jameis. He's the starting quarterback of your 2021 Saints. We're going to talk Taysom's future. Does he have a future with the Saints or is he mad? Which Saints players were helped or hurt by the third preseason game not being able to be played? Andrew's going to tell us about that. And we're going to talk best hurricane snacks. Serious stuff tonight. Thomas, hit the intro.
G'day, it's Stevic from 12 Ninja here, and look, if you like American football, you should check out Saints Happy Hour podcast. I personally know fuck all about American football, other than it's a bunch of massive blokes wearing spandex, shoulder pads and helmets, running around with throwing a football. In Australia, you don't throw footballs. You punch it or you kick it, and there's no protection. They're all naked, and there's sharks and crocodiles fired out of cannons onto the field, and we all stand around and drink blood watching it. But if American football's your thing, you know what to do. Saints Happy Hour podcast. Stick it in your ear hole.
Right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. Listen, everybody, Hurricane Ida, it's terrible, it's awful. Stay safe. Don't do anything dumb. Hunker down in your house, drink your beer. Hopefully you have power. If you have power or you have backup and you're decided to join us to give you a little distraction from the horribleness that is befallen Louisiana again, thanks for joining us. Or if you listen later, thanks for listening to us. Give you a little distraction. It's going to be a hard time for Louisiana as they bounce back. But we always bounce back in Louisiana. That's what we do. We're on Twitch, as always. Pound that donate button if you're watching live. If you aren't, follow us on Twitch. Remember to subscribe to Saints Happy Hour, wherever you get your podcast. Also, become an annual patron at Patreon/Saints Happy Hour podcast to get the best Saints podcast every day and get a month for free if you sign up now.
It's I just we talked about maybe not doing the show just out of the sensitivity. So hopefully doesn't offend anyone that we're live and doing this.
We did a show during Harvey. I did a show during Harvey when I had water coming up closer and closer to my house. I wasn't losing power. So this show, the mediocre audio rolls on.
Just so you guys know, like it affects us personally. You know, Dave is he can't be here tonight. He evacuated to Houston, and he's in a hotel room, and Ralph and I both have parents that stayed and have homes that are being affected currently, and a lot of families. So I don't think we'll dwell on it or talk about it too much today, because I know you guys, we made the decision to do this show to kind of give you guys a distraction. So we'll do that, but definitely want to just communicate to you guys that anyone who's being affected by this, that we're thinking about you, and hope that we can just see each other to the other side of this thing and start to kind of build back the pieces.
Yeah, I want to start with this, Andrew. I know you've been living in Virginia for a while, but a lot of people in the chat are NOLA people and have been through hurricanes. Maybe some people are listening to us live as the hurricane is happening. What is your go-to hurricane stress food? Mine is no longer available. I used to be big on the hurricane is coming. I'm gonna get 6 to 10 Hubix pies, all different flavor. I'm gonna put a gallon of milk in the ice chest, buried in the ice, and I'm just gonna mash and crush Hubix pies and drink milk as the world gets drowned or whatever. That was my go-to hurricane stress-eating food. People in the chat, if you have a hurricane stress-eating food, let us know. Andrew, did you ever have to go through, bad weather stress-eating foods?
Well, you can't really microwave anything, right? If you lose power and all that stuff. So, I mean, certainly, a hurricane party where you're drinking either a hurricane or just any kind of beer, is always a go-to. You got to have cold beer during a hurricane. But I don't know. My kids always eat those energy bars. I don't know. There's chocolate chip and there's brownie. I forget the Z bars. So I usually just crush like 5 of those. They're delicious.
Yeah, that's healthy.
I'm sure it's great for me.
Hubix pie.
Probably healthier than Hubix pie, yeah.
Yeah, that's my go-to hurricane snack food. But Saints news, as we get to that, Andrew. The Saints announced they did a news dump on they did it on Friday morning. They announced Jameis Winston was the starting quarterback. We did a breaking
Yeah.
news podcast on it, but I want to talk about it a little further on this podcast. Your thoughts on it? Look, I think Jameis really stretched himself out. He separated himself from Taysom. Um, and the Saints, they're going to look a lot different than what we expected. But this is kind of like, this is what we expected. Like, once Jameis signed that deal and didn't go to the Bears in free agency, which it looked for like a hot minute, like he might bolt, and him and the Saints were sort of locking heads and being difficult. As soon as he signed that deal to stay with the Saints, like, I felt like it's gonna be Jameis. Like, and that's why this didn't really shock me as much as maybe some in the national media thought.
Well, it was really on the heels of that game. It was a wrap. I think in the press conference, Sean Payton could have announced it right then and there. We all knew it was coming. So, yeah, he clearly outperformed Taysom. And,
Yeah.
The reports that we were getting from camp were that Taysom was kind of slightly ahead, but he'd have like 2 really good days, and then
Jameis
he'd have an
fathead.
off day. Yeah. And so I don't know that we had concluded for sure, but it seemed like Jameis had a lead. And then obviously he starts with with the first string offense and absolutely tore it up in that quarter that he was in. And right on the heels of that, Taysom comes in and really kind of continues to show what I think is processing struggles, trouble pulling the trigger, especially.
Yeah.
And then when you go back and you watch the tape and you see there's just examples of like, why wasn't the ball out here? Like, the guy's open and he's just not pulling the trigger. And so it's a
Do you
process.
think Taysom do you think he didn't really take a step? Because last year when he started 4 games, I remember you saying, you're like, Ralph, I feel like he took a giant step and he's a lot better. And we were like, he still needs to be processing to be a consistent starting quarterback and maybe be better than average. But do you feel like he sort of stagnated and he wasn't any better than what you saw last year?
Well, I've only seen 2 preseason games that were a quarter each. And I guess he started a little bit of the third quarter, but you know what I mean. He basically played 2.4 quarters. And so I think it's difficult to really evaluate him to say, like, based on what he did in those games without really any starters in either of them, right? Like, it's really hard to say, make an evaluation, but so I can only judge it based on that. But I feel like he took a step back, actually. I feel like the things that made Taysom interesting and exciting, he was so focused on, I guess maybe he knew that he could do that and he wanted to show another side of himself, right? He wanted to show that he could throw the ball downfield, that he could process, that he could step up in the pocket. So those are the things he worked on. And I think he was in his head so much trying to prove those things that he really lost his escapability element. He didn't really showcase his legs. And that was what made him most exciting, I think, when he was quarterback. And I just felt like he was slow to eject the pocket. And by the time he was like, okay, maybe I should run, it was already too late and he was getting tackled. So I actually thought he looked worse than he did last season in the little time that I saw him.
Yeah. I was listening to the Randy Mueller, Mike Sando athletic football podcast. And Randy Mueller made an interesting point about Jameis. He said, look, Jameis is a NFL quality quarterback that can make all the throws. And people think, oh, well, what's that have to do with anything? But he's like, he can make throws that Taysom just cannot make. He can make checks at the line. He can get in and out of offense. He's played for, he played for 5 years.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And
he's not Drew, but it just feels tighter.
Yeah.
It's not Drew Brees type, but it's just like he's running the offense at a different level.
And, the point that Randy Mueller made was, he's like, if they start Taysom, they can do all this weird, crazy stuff. But he's like, eventually, you run out of that bag. and
Yeah.
then you have Taysom. Then what do you have? Where he's like, if they have Winston, they can run everything that they ran again with Drew or different things. Now they might not have the wide. He was concerned about wide receivers and other things, but he's like, it's going to be Jameis, and of course they recorded that podcast before the Saints announced the starter. The other thing, Andrew, that I want to talk about is before we get to Taysom and we get to roster issues, I listened to a Bill Barnwell podcast yesterday while I had to drive and pick up some stuff for my wife, and it was from August 11th. And him and Bill Barnwell, and I forget who he had on, they were talking about it. It was from August 11th. And they were talking about the Saints, like the Saints were going to be an utter disaster. Their receivers were a disaster. They were thin at corner. We had all these questions. And it just got to me to thinking that I feel so much, because if I'd have listened to that podcast on August 11th, I'd have agreed with everything they said. But as they were talking about it, I was like, Bill Barnwell, you're wrong, motherfucker. We got Callaway. We got Deontay Harris. We got Bond he's talking about how the linebackers terrible. I'm like, we got Bond at linebacker. I'm like, we got all these answers. So it got me to thinking, like, I feel so much better about the Saints from when we started at the end of July to now. I really feel better about where they are.
Well, all I can tell you is no preseason game, the third game. I immediately start thinking, like, is that a big competitive disadvantage? But the thing I love about it is no one gets injured.
That's right.
And no one gets
J.K.
banged
Dobbins
up.
got injured for the Ravens. He got carted off. So
in the third preseason game, yeah. So
right.
that's maybe a starter or a huge contributor that you didn't lose because you didn't play. So I personally, selfishly like it. Now I think it's sad for guys that are on the bubble. Like if Latavius Murray gets cut or Shai Tuttle gets cut, and they didn't get that chance to showcase their stuff in their last game, or even some of these veterans like Devontae Freeman, or J.R. Sweezy, some of these veterans, it's like, I didn't even get a chance to, kind of do my thing at the end there. So look, obviously there's things going on bigger than football, but I think a lot of times when you're trying to make decisions about the roster, you really use that last preseason game as like,
well,
there's probably 3 guys on the bubble and they're going to make it or break it based on how they play in that game. Now you don't have that luxury.
We'll get to who it hurt and who it helped the most in a second. Before we get to that, though, I want to talk about Taysom. And the reason I do is Jameis 1 of 1 sort of found the Taysom 1 of 1 guy on Twitter, and it was Randy Papanga or somebody. He's a guy, he played at BYU, and apparently he's really close to Taysom's camp. And he was ranting and raving about how Taysom dirty. And he was like, and he had all these things of like, he listed like 5 teams that Taysom should demand a trade to. Now, some of his stuff was just ridiculous. He's like the Rams.
Brady Papinga.
Yeah, like Matthew Stafford because he gets hurt all the time, and the Rams aren't that good. Matthew Stafford's never been that good, and other teams that were it was just ridiculous of the trades that he mentioned. But it did make me think, Andrew, that this guy isn't a nobody. He played at BYU, and if you take him, and if he's close to Taysom and he's leaking this, if Taysom is upset, how does that affect the 2021 Saints? Because we talked about it Friday. Like the Saints, they need Jameis to play well at quarterback, obviously, but they also need. I want to say Jason tonight so bad. It's incredible, Andrew.
Jason.
But the Saints, they need Taysom. They need him to be back on board to be a Swiss Army knife. Like they 100% need that commitment from him to be successful.
I don't know, man. Like Jason says that he's still convinced that Jameis 1 of 1 is Jason Licht. This Brady Papinga trade stuff. It's like the Saints are paying him $12 million, and I don't know. I just think for what he's getting paid, like I think we see pretty clearly that is he going to go anywhere else and make more? You know what I'm saying?
No.
I mean, who's gonna?
his NFL career is directly tied to Sean Payton being head coach of the Saints. If Sean Payton wasn't head coach of the Saints, Taysom would be selling insurance in Utah. Like, that is a fact.
Yeah, well, except that at this point, I think you've got other coaches, be it Shanahan or who are like, yeah, I could do that with Taysom. I could make him even better. I think there's ego with some of those guys where maybe, yeah.
But Sean Payton showed it possible. Without Sean Payton, I don't think it would even be possible. And Taysom's 31. Like, it would be one thing if he was like 24 and your boy from the BYU Topanga or whatever his name from Boy Meets World, if he was ranting and raving about Taysom needing a shot. Like, Taysom's 31. Like, no team is going to be like, let's invest and start the 31-year-old quarterback. It's not happening.
Right.
But do you think Taysom will be a good soldier and go back to doing Taysom stuff being awesome on third down?
I just don't think he has a choice. Like what? I mean, I guess he could say, "Nah, I just want to be a backup quarterback. I don't want to do any of that stuff." And then he just doesn't see the field. I mean, what kind of excitement is that for him, for the fans, for like the team, all of it? I just, to me, it's like Taysom at the end of the day is a football player, Yeah. And he is a competitor. I do think that, and I just think for him to just sit there and be like, yeah, I don't want to do it, coach. Like, I just want to be a quarterback. Like, I just want to be the backup. Like, that would be the lamest thing ever. The fans would turn on him. Other teams would be like, why would I want to give this guy my starting job if he acted like that in New Orleans? Like, I just think it would nuke all goodwill that he has.
I know it'd be difficult because he's got to transform his body, but Andrew, he was a low key for all the things that the analytics nerds got mad at him for and we got excited about. Taysom is a low key, sneaky terror.
Hall of Famer.
Special teams. Like, Thomas is something Hall of Famer. Like, the punt protector, he changes freaking everything about how teams have to defend the Saints when they punt. He's a great gunner. He blocked the punt against Tampa. Like, he is a special teams dynamo. And I mean,
he's also returned kickoffs. He's had a big kickoff return before.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So, like, I mean, to me, he maybe because he was so close to, he felt like to being a starting quarterback, like going back to special teams would feel like this demotion and embarrassment, whatever. But he low key kills it on special teams. So, like, I wish he would go back because it changed everything when he was punt protector. You could see it, Andrew. Whenever the Saints were like past their own 40-yard line and it was like 4th and less than 5, teams were terrified. And what was it, 2018? They were playing the Giants and they faked the punt. I think the Giants were winning like 10-3 or 10-0, and they faked the punt with Taysom. He got the first down, turned the whole game around.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. And Taysom Hill also has like we've seen this over the years. It has like a effect on the sideline almost. He's in the game. He makes these plays. And there's this jolt that and remember I think it was the Tampa game where he blocked a punt a couple years ago. The Saints were down several scores. He blocks the punt and then it flipped the game completely on its head. And Saints got fired up and they played great from there on out and won the game. So I think Taysom also has this like big playability that is like almost a momentum shift. And that's a powerful thing.
Well, the Dallas game in 2018 or 2019 when Teddy started, he trucked some dude from Dallas, and you can see the Saints sideline, like the defenders on the team, like high-fiving each other. He gives an energy. Maybe, you talked about how the team has sort of rallied to Jameis, and, they're sort of behind him. But I think Taysom definitely gives the Saints a jolt. And like you say, it's like Joshua says in the chat, in the words of The Rock, know your role and shut your mouth. You're making $12 million. Go out there and do what we tell you to do.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting, but the thing is, they need him not just to do it; they need him to buy in, and they need him to have the same enthusiasm from 2018 to 2020. Because the Saints, their roster is
Well,
still
there's
fragile.
no shame in it, Ralph. Like
No,
he lost the job. Look, he's not better than Jameis at quarterback. He's just not. I think we all see that clearly, and
yeah,
I don't know if Taysom sees that clearly. Like I could see him saying, I didn't get a chance with the starters in the preseason games, and the deck was stacked against me. I mean, I could see him maybe seeing things a little differently, but ultimately, I think he got a fair shake. He got a even opportunity at winning this, and he got outperformed, both in practices and in the game. So, like, okay, where do you stand from here now? Like, you could just I guess he could demand a trade, but what team in the NFL is going to make Taysom Hill their starter right now?
none.
Would a
No,
single one?
no team.
No team would trade for him and say, "Okay, you're now the starter over the guy that we were committed to." No one would do that right now.
I mean, 100%. I mean, the only starter in the NFL that I can think of that I would say that Taysom is maybe equal to or better than would be Andy Dalton for the Bears, just because
I
Andy
just
Dalton
don't.
is
I don't think
completely
the Bears
washed.
are trading for Taysom
That's
Hill.
what, but
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. But the Bears aren't doing that. But that's my
Right.
point is
So, but
when you think of the league, there's nobody that Taysom's better than as a starting
right.
quarterback.
So if we know that's true, then Taysom's got a decision to make, and why not? Why wouldn't he want to score touchdowns? And he's way too fun of a player to not do that.
I mean,
He's an asset to the league and the Saints when he's doing his weird shit. You know?
because Sean Payton is signed through 2025, I believe, and if Taysom gets good health, like the Saints have a dead cap hit of like $8.5 million on him in 2022, they'll gladly redo the funny money $140 million deal. I think if Taysom embraced his role again, Andrew, and was great at it, the Saints would gladly pay him 3 years, $20 million and
Well,
be
yeah,
like,
it's
Taysom,
interesting. Well, I was thinking they would pay him like deluxe backup money because he actually plays. So, let's just say like the Saints continue to, because deluxe backup money is like 8 million, and it's probably going up because the cap goes up, right? So, let's just say we
yeah,
hit a landing place where it's 10 million a year is like what a premium backup makes. Okay, and let's just say the Saints value him at 12 million a year because he actually plays and does stuff, which is what they're paying him roughly this year.
that's
If
right.
they were to offer him a 3-year, $36 million deal, I would be fascinated to know this offseason, if he goes into free agency, what NFL team could possibly offer him more than that?
None. Zero. I mean, well, zero. I'll say zero because you know
Yeah.
what?
So, like,
No team is going to, in my opinion, no team is going to. They'll want him to do the other Taysom stuff, but no team is going to trust him enough to be their backup quarterback because they'll have to rework everything to make him functional at backup quarterback. I think no team would offer him that.
so,
You
and
know,
if that's true, wouldn't he be better just like, hey, you're not going to play
100%.
quarterback unless, like, you'll throw a pass here and there, but you're not going to play quarterback unless our starter gets injured, and you're going to keep being punt protector and playing tight end and doing all this weird stuff for us, and that's now your career.
Yeah. And I will say this last thing on the Saints quarterback battle, Andrew. 100% Sean Payton made the right call last year when he started Taysom 4 weeks and said, I did it because I promised Taysom. Because seeing Jameis in preseason, I'm not convinced that people said that he would have took Drew's job. That's complete nonsense. Like Drew was going to be the starter when he was healthy because Sean would never have done that to Drew. But I am 100% convinced if Jameis had played the 4 weeks instead of Taysom, Jameis would be the starting quarterback for the for someone else. He'd be starting
Yeah.
quarterback for Washington or Bear
Indianapolis.
or
Yeah.
Indianapolis. Like somebody would have been like, "Oh, he's
We'll pay him.
back. We're paying you we're giving you 4 years, 100 million, Jameis, gladly." Like,
Yeah.
and the Saints by not playing him get an extra
Kept him.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to what you had talked about previously, Andrew, with the roster, the difficult decisions with they couldn't play the third preseason game, and I wanted you to talk about because you break down the film. By the way, everybody, become a patron. Andrew does write ups during the year. He grades every player, every position, every snap. For Saints games every week during the year. It's something you should get. You $10 patrons, you'll get it. You should sign up to get that. But Andrew, I wanted you to talk about who got helped maybe by no third preseason game and who got hurt by no third preseason game, because it matters in the sense of people will say, oh, last year they didn't have preseason games and they did the roster just fine. I get that, but we did the Saints were until Thursday. They were expecting to do a preseason game. So that was baked into their evaluation process that they expected. They expected to get a third preseason game Saturday night and be able to evaluate players. How did it change everything? And who do you think it hurt and helped the most?
Well, I would say it probably hurts. I think the Saints know a lot about what they want. And so I would say in terms of who it hurts, I don't know, but maybe Latavius Murray. Latavius Murray, I think if he could have gone in there, gotten a bunch of carries and tore it up and just reminded the Saints that, hey, I'm going up against UDFAs and all that, but like I'm tearing it up and I just ran a 40-yard touchdown run. I think that would remind the Saints that like, oh yeah, Latavius Murray still got it. We should keep him, right? And I remember Cam Meredith in that final preseason game. There was like chatter that the Saints might cut him, and he played a lot, and he had a huge game. And it was kind of a reminder. Cam Meredith ended up not really doing anything for the Saints, but it was a reminder that like, yes, this is a pro NFL receiver who's done it in the past, and clearly he belongs on this team. To me, the guy I keep going back to is Chris Hogan, actually, because you remember Lil Jordan and Ty Montgomery, I think, took a step forward in that game, and I know that they're really battling Chris Hogan for a roster spot. The Saints really like Chris Hogan, but he didn't play in that game because he was banged up. And so I feel like between Hogan, Montgomery, and Humphrey, they're probably only keeping two and for that first week. And I would say that Hogan not getting a chance to play, he's maybe on the odd side out between those three of making the team. So to me, like he's the one guy that stands out the most.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do roster wise. Because remember, if you make the 53-man roster or 55-man roster the first week, and you are on the roster for week one, your entire 2021 salary is guaranteed. Whereas if they cut you and then and you're not active week one, you're not on the roster week one, and then they re-sign you that following Tuesday, you only get like 35% of your salary paid for. They have some rumors out there on Twitter that Latavius Murray, Dave's boyfriend, got cut. It's from a total unreputable source, so we'll see. I'm not. The Saints aren't doing anything. I said this to Thomas in the production meeting Saturday. Famous last words. I said the Saints aren't doing crap while they're in Dallas. We aren't getting extensions. We aren't getting news. We aren't getting nothing. But Andrew, they did make one move. They signed a guy. They signed SpongeBob SquarePants from the defensive tackle from the Chargers, Damian Square. I never heard of this dude, but he's been in the league a long time. Your thoughts on him at defensive tackle, and does that move, you think, does it mean anything, or are they still going to be churning, looking for defensive tackles come next week?
I think there's a chance he makes the team. I think he's just a guy that they can evaluate for a week while they go to final cut-downs and just figure out if he's a guy they want to look at and maybe keep on the team. So, look, he's available at this point. I don't think he's changing anything here, but he's another defensive tackle in the mix. So, that's really it. I don't know. I think it's both tough for him to make the team just because of how far behind he is with everything, but then they may see something they like. I know he's a decent run defender. That's probably what he does best. And I think right now that's what the Saints are looking for. Is just a guy that can hold his own and eat some space.
For people that are listening to this podcast later, Thomas is playing the montage of the 6 turnovers against Baltimore. If you're on the live stream, you're seeing it. And I'm just seeing this Tony Jones thing. I'm going to give you a fantasy tip. If you are in a league where you're not with a lot of Saints people and you're in different states and maybe they're not as diehard Saints fans as we are, and you can get Tony Jones late, I think the Saints really like him, Andrew, and I think he's going to get a ton of carries, and I think he's going to supplant Latavius Murray. He looks really good, and I know the Saints offensive line can make a lot of people look good.
Zach Strief tipped us on that guy. Remember that last year? He told us he's like Tony Jones is awesome. He's like no one's really heard of him, no one really knows, but he's like, I'm telling you guys, I see him at practice. Like, he's going to be a good player. He told us about that.
Yeah, he did, and he's gonna be. I think he's a guy. I think he's got Mike Bell-esque kind of qualities, where like he could have a little run, where like if
I think he's a little better in the passing game than Bell is.
Yeah, well, Bell was non-existent in the passing game. I think. You know, so we don't have Dave here, and so he doesn't get to participate. But we decided to do our stars of camp, where we each picked a star of training camp, and
he looks like a star of the day for the Saints.
And we said that Marquez Callaway was ineligible. So Andrew,
wait, why?
Because it's just an obvious pick. Like you got to pick somebody else.
Okay.
So that was the reasoning. So Dave picked Jameis Winston. He's not here. I think that's a good choice. Jameis had great days. He had the big Monday night game. I think that's an interesting choice. We talked about Jameis already. My pick though was unvaccinated corner. He's quiet. He had the great game against Baltimore. He didn't have as big a game against the Jaguars, but I still think he had a good enough camp to where I think the Saints are going to put him out there, especially if Crawley's hurt. He may be back. They think he's going to be back for week 1, but I think they want to play Adebo. I think he's going to play. And unvaccinated corner is going to factor big into this theory. You didn't turn your name in time, so I just guessed on who your name would be. But Andrew, who is your star of camp?
I didn't realize I was supposed to turn this in. Sorry, I missed this somehow.
Yeah, so I had to guess.
Blame it
well,
to right. As always.
You know, I was thinking of 3 actually, one in each phase of the game. So hopefully with these 3, I'll hit it. Offense, I would have said Juwan Johnson. That's my guy. Defense, I would have said Zach Bond, who finally turned a corner. And I was gonna say punter. I was gonna say Blake Gillikin. So it sounds like you guessed correctly. Mind bullets, Ralph. Mind bullets.
Mind bullets. Mind meld. We're like an old married couple, me and you. I got Bond.
I'm so predictable.
And that's right.
There he is. The dude learned how to play linebacker. I can't believe it.
Listen, and here's the thing.
You spent all off season, Ralph, talking about how busty he was.
Slander.
You were locked and loaded to call him a bust.
Busty Bond.
Yeah, busty Bond.
I hated.
That's
Bond.
Dying a quick death.
It is dying quick. Listen, we need a soundbite about being loud wrong because I hated Bond from the moment they picked. Let's go. I hated that pick from the moment they did it because I hate it when the Saints pick a guy and they're like, all the cool stuff you did in college, forget about all that. You're going to do something completely new. I hate when they do that, but they did it with Bond. They traded up. They wanted to trade up even higher, and the light came on for him, and he's exactly what they thought he could be, maybe. So, and the thing is with the Saints, they need as much cheap young players as they can get. So I'll eat the L on that. I don't care. Like,
this is all distracting from the fact that the real star of camp is Marquez Callaway. Just for the record. We're clear.
He's the gold. He's going to be the gold. He's the gold standard by all future camp stars will be measured. I think. Do you not? I mean, Callaway, he did more. He showed us more in training camp this year than Marcus Colston did in 2006. And Marcus Colston is a Saints Hall of Famer. And
I just want to point out, think about all the guys we just named, and what positions they play. You got, Michael Thomas is out, and receiver's been a huge question mark. And the best guy in camp is Callaway. That's huge, right?
Right.
Quarterback, we didn't even know who the starter was going to be, and so the fact that Dave is picking Jameis is a good sign, right, for the team.
That's right.
At linebacker, we had numerous podcasts where we're like, what linebacker does this team have besides Demario Davis? And we had podcasts where we're like, Pete Werner better be awesome, because
that's right.
There's no one else. And so now Zach Bond, that's huge that they have a second linebacker. That the fact that Quan Alexander is not a given to start because Zach Bond is playing so well is big for this team. And then you cut and lose a guy like Thomas Morstead, and I just talked about Blake Gillikin, feeling great about punter. So I don't know, man. These were a lot of question spots on the roster, and I feel like they got all these guys we just named. They're big time answers for them going into the season.
No, the Saints, like I said when I listened to that Barnwell podcast from August 11th. I mean, the Saints, we got more positive answers about questions we had than I thought we would get, and that's why I feel great about it. Jason in the chat says Callaway is Adrian Arrington. Adrian Arrington never did. He's the Adrian Arrington, Emmanuel Butler, Mono Ojo, and Walter Thomas all rolled into one. Yes, he's the greatest camp superstar ever. The Saints, they got a ton of answers, good answers. Now, I will say this: unvaccinated corner, of all the people you just mentioned, Andrew, he's the biggest reach, I think. Like, he did a little bit, and we're just desperate at number 2 corner to latch on to anything at all. But overall, man, the Saints, they didn't, knock on wood, they didn't have any massive injuries in camp. Peyton Turner sort of disappeared. That's no good. But the Saints keep telling us that he'll be back. It's a minor thing. I each day that passes that he doesn't practice, I get more and more worried. But we'll see about that. But I just think overall camp, they had a lot of good answers. And we'll get into previews next week when we have Dave and hopefully Kevin back on, and we'll preview the season. But I feel way better than I did at the end of camp than I do at the beginning. So as we get to this next topic, Andrew, this is the thing that I will say this. I'll be floored if the Saints announce a major extension while they're in Dallas. But they still have all
a lot
this
of distractions going on. Yeah.
Yeah. They have all this week and all next week. But Armstead, Lattimore, I feel like they need to get one of them extended, because if they don't, they only can franchise tag one person. So I feel like they've got to get one of them done, and then you have Marcus Williams and Lattimore. You want to try to sign all three, but you got to get Armstead or Lattimore. You have to have one of them done. Do you think the Saints have a move to extend one of them before the season starts?
I don't think they have to, no. I mean, I know Lattimore really wants an extension, but what is he going to do? Sit out? Remember, the rules are such now that guys really can't do that.
Yeah,
if they don't like it, if you don't like it, then take it up with the NFLPA, and that's the CBA you signed up for. So, no, I don't know. I definitely think that any progress that Mickey Loomis was making, he's lost maybe a week, of just from the distractions alone. Because that as soon as a hurricane comes and they got to go into plan B mode and figure out where they're going to be and enact all that, and who knows when they're going to be able to come back to New Orleans now. That's a big question. I'm hearing already there's some stuff out there about how long it might take for power to come back in the city. So I think week 1 against the Packers, I mean, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about this later, but I think having a game in the Superdome for week 1 is looking questionable at best. So, there's going to be a lot to figure out for the Saints right now, down to like where they practice. Maybe they'll stay in Dallas for a while, where they're going to play their games, where their operation's going to be run out of. It's a lot of complicated stuff. They got to cut guys. They got to put waiver claims on guys. Like it's going to be complicated to navigate that stuff.
The Saints evacuating to Dallas is terrible because it means we have a hurricane and New Orleans is under the gun again, and it's looking worse and worse with Ida by the hour. But also terrible is the Saints being in Dallas. It gives Florio at Pro Football Talk an excuse to say, oh, by the way, Sean Payton had dinner with Jerry Jones, and if Mike McCarthy
here we go. Yeah.
If Mike McCarthy has another bad season, he's going to offer the Saints a second-round pick for Sean Payton. Like, he's got that in the chamber, and he's gonna fire that bullet off at like week 6 when the Cowboys are 2-4. He's gonna be like, well, by the way, when the Saints were evacuated in Dallas, like Sean Payton and Jerry Jones had dinner at some steakhouse.
They were seeing cuddling in the suite at Cowboy Stadium.
That's right.
Yeah.
They
were sharing the same bottle of wine that Sean Payton stole from Jerry Jones and had a good laugh over it.
That's right.
Yeah, no, you're right. Florio is foaming out of the mouth for that possibility. It all comes back around. He's been using that line for so long. It's got to work eventually, kind of thing.
I don't think it hurts the Saints in a sense of, look, I know that Loomis can juggle multiple things at once, right, Andrew? They can do the evacuation because they've done it before, so it isn't like they're starting from ground zero. But I do worry about, like, I saw, on Friday.
Isn't it crazy, Ralph? Isn't it insane? Sorry to cut you off, but like, I've just been like thinking about this all day. That Breeze came on the heels of Katrina, and this shit happens the year he's gone.
It is.
Like it's like to the freaking day, man. Like it's basically Breeze is like sandwiched in this period in between Katrina and Ida, and like it's just mind blowing to me, like just how it worked out that way.
It's crazy. God, this is not the anniversary for Katrina and the 16th year anniversary. This is not the anniversary that we wanted. Another storm.
My God. Yeah.
But I think Mickey Loomis, man, you talk about, he's got to deal with it. He's got to get the Saints evacuated to Dallas. And by the way, the NFL, the preseason trade stuff sort of kicked off earlier than I thought. I thought it would kick off after the third preseason game, and it would start maybe tomorrow or into this week, sort of like a bye week before week 1. But no, Andrew, it started on Thursday when we were doing the live stream daily show, which we did for people on Twitch. I mean, Baltimore traded a corner to New England. Miami traded an offensive lineman. Traded for an offensive lineman. So they had a bunch of these moves that are going on. And it just complicates Mickey Loomis's life. He's trying to get an evaluation done, and you're trying to get deals done. I joked with Thomas yesterday that I don't think the Saints will do anything with Wentz before they get back to New Orleans. And I just said it with you. But now that I think about it, like, if moves got to get made, they got to get done. Like, if the Saints, if they want a kicker, if they want to find another defensive tackle, whatever they want to do, you got to get that stuff done. If the team's willing to move,
I wonder if you have an advantage being on the Saints right now, where we had talked about how they could make 4 or 5 waiver claims, like that might be in play this year, and I just wonder if it's more difficult of an onboarding process right now with them being in Dallas and just signing a guy like to a contract and being able to run their operation normally, and bringing a guy, getting his jersey good, what I'm saying? Just like all the little stuff. Like I wonder if like a guy that would normally get claimed, if the Saints are now just like, this is too complicated, let's just roll with Rosas as our kicker, as opposed to going out and getting this guy. It's probably I don't know. I just wonder if acquiring new players is going to be a little bit more difficult for the Saints for the next couple weeks, and they won't just like keep a dude that normally maybe they wouldn't.
I think if it's close, they'd keep a dude.
Yeah,
But I do think in some spots they'll be like, I don't care how difficult that shit is, Mickey. I don't care if
make
you
it
got
happen. Yeah.
make it happen. We need another receiver. Make it happen. I need a defensive tackle. Whatever.
I mean, look, we saw it in the Katrina year. This tests an organization like nothing else, and if God forbid they have like a nomadic existence where they practice, where if they have no sense of normalcy,
and I know
you can't
Sean
navigate
Payton,
that. Yeah,
I know Sean Payton is. Him and Jim Haslett are not in the same stratosphere, but I don't care. Like that, the Saints going nomad, that they won 3 games at all in 2005
it's a miracle.
It was sort of fucking ridiculous. Like how they managed. They started that year. They were 2-2 in that year, by the way.
Yeah.
So like that they won it all. So let's hope and pray for reasons way beyond football that Ida doesn't deliver that. But I do think it's a point that you make of it's so difficult. And the Saints, they solve the problem
with aggression.
Play the soundbite. They solve their problem.
Solve your problems with aggression.
And the aggression in 2006 was money. They overpaid Breeze ridiculously. They overpaid Fujita ridiculously. Like Fujita was basically a below average linebacker in the NFL, and the Saints gave him 4 years, $10 million because they were like, we want you. And even though you're like barely an average, and he ended up being above average for the Saints, obviously, and that sort of thing. But that's how they solved it. But this problem, Andrew, like with logistics, it's going to be interesting with these trades, and I hope the Saints, Mickey Loomis, it's gonna be a challenge, and if you need to fill spots, like you got to do it.
Can we talk? Can we talk for a minute about how the fact that this is happening in New Orleans right now, and Drew Brees happens to be in the Atlanta stadium right now?
Yeah, it's weird. It was weird. He was given a
little weird, right?
Message to New Orleans, and I was like,
yeah,
what
from the
hell?
Falcons stadium?
He should have signed off. He should have signed off #28-3 forever, and that would have been funny because the Falcons released the tweet. So Drew, you got to do a little bit better job of that.
Yeah. I feel like I've been kind of harsh on Drew for a while now. We had the whole bracket thing, like I don't know. I feel like I'm always shading Drew these days, so I don't want to.
I completely forgot that he was on the TV tonight, and that
he's not though. I think he's just there. I mean, maybe he did an interview, but he's not calling the game. I think he's just there to.
I wonder if he was in the pre. Yeah, I wonder if he. But I was wondering if people saw. Did he do anything on TV tonight, and how was it?
Not that I noticed. It was just Al Michaels and Collinsworth. So I didn't hear Drew, but maybe at some point he did something. I was looking for it.
Yeah, we never saw Drew on TV, so it'll be interesting. The other NFL news, dude, the Tennessee Titans, they are the most Rona-drenched team maybe in sports. Like, they had outbreaks upon outbreaks last year. They're having it again this year with Vrabel and this. And I don't want to get into vax, not vax. I know, although Buffalo's coach was like losing his mind, and players finally were just like, okay, these protocols, I'm going to get vaccinated. But like, I don't want to get into that, Andrew. But I think the point that I want to make to people is there's a sense a lot of people like, I got vaccinated, I'm good, it's going to be fine. And like the NFL season is going to go along as normal. We're going to have fans and all that. But like, the Rona is still lingering, and it's still around, and it's still like the wolf at the door kind of, Andrew, and it could still ruin weeks and ruin team seasons. And I think there's a segment of fan base that doesn't realize that. And the Tennessee having their outbreak sort of brought it back to me. It's like, oh yeah, the Rona is still around and it can still ruin everything.
Ugh. Yeah, I'll be honest. I can't even think about that right now with the freaking hurricane going on. But yeah, it does. It's funny. Like my mom didn't evacuate in like
my mom.
COVID. My mom, and like a big part of it was COVID. It was like I don't want to go in some hotel where like I have to worry about masking up and all that. And like so, like that. I'm sure that was a thing for some people, like consideration. But yeah, what is up with the Titans though? Seriously,
it's weird.
Like
it's
that
weird.
team seems to have like I don't know if it's like a cultural thing where they're just like F it, we're not following the rules, but like you get fined for that, right? Like the NFL has cameras, they pay attention to you.
Tennessee Rebels.
I mean, they were
something about that football team, man.
They were going to drop the hammer on the freaking Saints last year, take away picks and all this, and then nothing happened to Tennessee. I just feel like Tennessee, like their sloppiness or whatever, like slides under the radar. Like if the
drenched in Rona.
If the Saints were drenched in as much Rona as Tennessee is, we wouldn't have any 22 picks left.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Tennessee needs to get their HVAC looked at or something.
I don't know, man. They're terrible. It's like, well, Tampa had the stretch where everybody was getting staph infection and MRSA.
Oh, yes.
In the facility. That was a long time ago. But anyway, well, it's just a thing, man. Rona still lingers out there, and it could still detonate your entire season. So I
guess it's not appropriate to make the "I wish Tampa would get MRSA all over again" joke. I guess that's below the belt. I guess I can't say that.
Man, I hate Tom Brady so much.
I know.
I make it, but
Tom Brady it's at a level where I think like anything that you say that is just grotesquely terrible and that you should never say about another human. I think he's at a level where you can say it and actually get away with it if you're a Saints fan.
I will say this about because the Tampa Bucks, their Twitter, they come in my mentions sometimes. I will say this is my theory of I've never seen a fan base that's so unhappy after winning a Super Bowl like the Bucks Twitter is. And my theory is Tampa Bay Bucks fans, they didn't enjoy their Super Bowl win because the entirety of the world doesn't look on it as the Tampa Bay Bucks won the Super Bowl. They look at it as Tom Brady won his 7th title.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that sort of made it less enjoyable for Bucks fans on this some sort of weird level because they are mad and they're like coming into Saints Twitter and they just like they should be the happiest fan base on earth. They just won the goddamn Super Bowl and they're just not. And just totally off subject. Anyway, that's my theory.
It does feel like Tom's title more than Tampa's, doesn't it?
It 100%.
Yeah.
Like, and that would have been that if like Drew had retired and Tom Brady had come to the Saints and the Saints had won this past.
And it would have felt awful.
Nah,
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. Man.
I say that. I would have taken the Super Bowl title with Tom Brady, but I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't feel as pure for sure.
It doesn't feel. It's not that it doesn't feel as pure. It's just people view it as not yours. It's his. You know. But anyway, we didn't do Saints trivia last week, and people got mad. So we did Saints trivia again this week. And by the way, this trivia question is ridiculously freaking hard, and it's courtesy of Budridge. So
Budridge.
Thomas, hit the trivia for the people. So it's name the only Saints player with an interception and a touchdown.
That doesn't make any sense. Plenty of guys have gotten pick sixes.
No, they have an he has just an interception and a touchdown. Like it's not a pick six.
And you're already Googling.
It's an offensive touchdown. It's an interception.
Okay.
And it's an interception, and he caught a touchdown.
He caught a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
He just has one of each, or he just was able to accomplish both things?
He accomplished both things in the same season. And it's this name, you'll never get it. Like I didn't even.
My first guess was going to be Tyrone Hughes.
Yeah. No.
What year?
1982. This dude, he's so obscure, I couldn't locate a picture of him on the Googles. That's how obscure it is.
Should I even bother giving a guess then?
No.
You should. You should.
I
You have to give us an answer. You have to give us an answer.
Like
Otis
Dave
says,
Waymer.
People demand it. People demand it.
No.
82.
The silhouette should tell you that it's a goofy answer. Probably.
They never look at the silhouette, you know.
They never. Look at the
I've
silhouette.
probably never heard of this guy, right?
I did not know this dude existed.
Yeah, I don't know.
I spent 25 minutes trying to find a picture of him on Google and failed. Thomas, show the answer.
Show the answer, you say. Okay. Andrew didn't give us the answer, so we'll get the... And the answer is...
Bobby Hurley? Oh, Bill
Hurley. Bill Hurley.
Why is there a
find
that's Bobby Hurley?
I couldn't find a picture of the dude. So we went with
They put up
Bobby.
a picture of Bobby?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. I couldn't find a picture. Sorry, Bill Hurley's family. I couldn't locate a picture of him on the Googles. And Budridge
Bill,
saying,
Close
who
enough.
is Bill Hurley?
Close enough.
I mean, is he even Caucasian? Is Bill? I mean,
he might not be. We might be wrong. Right? He's a linebacker for the Saints.
So can you explain to me how Bill Hurley scored a touchdown offensively?
He caught a pass. I guess he played like it was like jumbo formation or some shit. I could see Bum Phillips playing like 8 tight ends in goal line. I could definitely. He scored a TD on a fake punt pass.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a
that was one. That was one thing about Bum Phillips, even though he's like
not
super
offense. That's special teams.
Special teams, whatever. That's the one thing about Bum Phillips, even though he was super conservative. Bum Phillips loved trick plays and invented the fumble rooski. So
did the punter throw the touchdown pass to him?
Hurley is a defensive back. Butteridge says.
So he only played 1 year. So who threw the pass? Was it the punter? Yes. Oh my God. Do you want to know who threw the pass to him?
It's got to be like Guido Merkins.
Incorrect.
Brian Hansen?
Russell Erxleben. It was a 30,
oh my God.
It was a 39-yard touchdown pass.
Oh my! I need
video.
Somebody's got to dig. If somebody can dig up video of that, I will give you a T-shirt. I'll give you.
That is insane. Like I feel like this is the ultimate argument when people say that Russell Erxleben is awful. You can be like, yeah, but he threw a touchdown pass.
Yeah, like that could be the trump card.
How many kickers / punters can say they've done that in the league?
Like that. That could be a trump card to for an argument when you argue who's the worst draft pick in Saints history. Like you could say, well, Erxleben threw a touchdown pass. Like that makes him not the. That is the most Saints thing ever. The bust first round kicker.
So Erxleben, he made 3 career field goals in his time with the Saints. He completed 2 passes.
Oh my God, that is the most Saintsy shit ever.
That is that's the best part of the trivia right there. Is that Erxleben threw the touchdown pass to Hurley. We have to find video of that, Ralph.
We do. Thanks, Budrich. That's my favorite.
Budrich.
Isn't there a film like video maker that has like old
there is
games,
I don't
like
have
a
his
library of
information
Saints
anymore.
games?
He's on Saints Report. Maybe somebody could find it.
Does he have stuff dating back to the 80s?
He has
82?
He has every game from 1970 on. I just can't remember his name.
Thomas, we have
locate
got to get a clip of Russell Erxleben throwing a touchdown pass to Bill Hurley in 1982. We have got to get that on the
Hey,
show.
Tomas, check the timestamp on this.
Thomas, you'll go to the Executive Producer Hall of Fame if you can dig that out.
Yes.
So, Thomas, fire
I'll
up the
keep that in
music. We
mind.
got to get to the questions.
I'm looking at YouTube right now to see if I can find this.
Finger gun.
Morton Anderson, you didn't throw a touchdown pass.
Nope. Russell Erxleben throwing a touchdown pass is the most shocking thing I've learned today. I was today years old when I learned Russell Erxleben threw a touchdown pass. All right, Thomas.
What next?
Okay, first question from Christmas. Okay, I already forgot how to pronounce it, Ralph.
Endymion?
I write it. Yeah, Endymion.
Yeah.
I write in Endymion. Is it time for me to make sure there's room on the Elite Float for King quiz?
100%. 100%.
Man, we already had said he's the star of the day at camp.
I mean,
We weren't allowed to name him as the star of the day in camp because it was too obvious.
because he was a superstar at camp. We're only naming stars.
Quez might be too good for Endymion.
He might be. He might need to be, because in Endymion, I think they have their own king. I think you only be like a grand marshal of Endymion. He might have to be Bacchus, where he can actually be the king of Bacchus. But quick question, Andrew. Marquez Callaway, over under 900 yards receiving.
Under.
I'm gonna go over.
Oh, I like that.
Yep.
I need.
He's going
on a
over
night
1,000.
Hey, Tomas, check the timestamp on this.
He's going over 1,000.
On a night like tonight, I need all the optimism I can get.
What next?
Okay, next question comes from Saint, and it is, what does Jameis have to do to earn a big contract from the Saints halfway through the year?
Oh, man.
He has to put up Pro Bowl type numbers.
I mean, for the Saints to give him a deal midway through the year, the Saints would have to be 7-1.
and he'd
and
have to
I
look
would-
like Breeze.
And I would have to be getting emails from Caesar's Palace wanting me to cash in my Jameis at 50-1 MVP ticket early. Like, they'd be like, "Do you want to just take $3,000, Ralph? Do you want to just take it right now?" Like that. And the thing is, I almost can't see a path towards it, Andrew, because if Jameis was playing that well, he'd be like, "I'm not taking your 5-year, $150 million deal, Saints. I'm going into free agency, and I'm going to get the Dak money." So I can't see a scenario where they'd sign him mid-season. You know?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So,
What next?
Okay, next question comes from Don Checo, and it is pretty long. With several post-cut down moves likely, especially at kicker, at wide receiver, defensive tackle, and tight end, does the cancelled third preseason game now help the Saints because young players they might want back who would have played and showed something to other teams didn't get that chance? That is the longest sentence I've ever read.
no, but I think it's a good question, and that was an article that Randy Mueller actually wrote on his blog that I saw, because you and Randy Mueller were actually having a conversation on Twitter about it. I think is that teams do this regularly, where they're like, "Hey," and the Saints actually they did it with Marcus Colston. They didn't cut him, obviously, and he played, but where they're like, "You know what? we've seen enough of this young player in practice or whatever, or in one game. We are not going to play him anymore. And we're going to try to sneak him on to the practice squad. I think it's a good point. The problem for the Saints is they have so many holes. I don't think positions at those positions they would cut anybody that showed them anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think anyone that showed them anything was making this team. They couldn't afford to cut someone that looked really good because they wouldn't make it through waivers. And remember, like guys that they cut can still be on the practice squad. So you look at a guy like Aesop Winston, right, who's I think been pretty decent at receiver. Saints kind of like him. That's a guy where they look at him and they're like, yeah, he's going to clear waivers. We don't think he's going to get claimed, so let's go ahead and cut him, put him on the practice squad, and it'll be fine. Trevor Simeon's another guy where maybe the Saints aren't like sold on Ian Book as the number 3 just yet, but they can't cut him because then a team will claim him and then he's gone forever. But Simeon might make it through waivers where, hey, we want 4 quarterbacks, but Trevor, we can't risk Book, so we're going to risk you instead. And we still want you on the team this year. You'll be our practice squad quarterback.
Oh my God. We have breaking news. Budrich in chat said he might have found the touchdown pass of Ernst.
Oh, no way.
So
wow.
We might have to see if he posts that.
Send it to me. Send it to me.
If he can get it up quick. Tag us if you can get it up, and maybe we'll do it before.
And in the meantime, we will get a question from Budrich. I lied, Andrew.
Oh, all right.
Before the show.
By the way, I want to mention
he got it during the show. During the show, he got the question.
Right at the buzzer, huh?
Yeah.
I want to mention before we do the question, before we get to the question, Thomas did a funny thing. He said on the live stream, if you're watching on the live stream, you'll see it every now and then. They'll see a sign and it'll say your logo goes here. If you want to sponsor the best Saints live stream in the world, contact us and you can be the official sponsor of the Saints live stream, and you could be someone that supports the show even more, gets Thomas paid in extra Vladi Divac. We're doing the best Saints live stream anywhere. Other people live stream, but they don't have videos, they don't have highlights, they don't have tweets coming up, they don't have the production value that we get because of Thomas in Poland. So just if you want to be a sponsor of the live stream, contact us. And maybe it can happen for you.
I feel like something is born here, Ralph, where like if we can start to find like ridiculous plays in Saints history, like obviously Erxleben throwing a touchdown pass would qualify, but we just have like if we can find video of it, we have like a little segment. I feel like something's born here. This could be awesome.
Check this out. Apparently, this is Bill Hurley, according to Jason Champagne on Discord.
Okay, Bobby Hurley. He looks like he could be Bobby Hurley's drunk uncle.
Did he find the highlight though? That's my question.
Yeah, Budrich, send it to me on Discord. Or I won't be able to show it.
He said he's about to put it on Twitter, maybe. So we'll see if he comes through.
Yeah. So we'll give Budrich a little bit of time for that. But I just want to say again, everybody, that we did this live stream. Thanks for the people that joined us at New Orleans. Be safe out there. We're praying for you. It's been, Ida's been terrible. It's awful too. It's just super slow hurricane. It's just not moving. And it's not decreasing, and it took forever to go from a Category 4 to a Category 3. It's just annoying as all hell. So I guess it's time. Maybe if Budrich has it, we'll play it for the patrons on Discord. He'll have it, and we'll play it next week. But we got to get out of here. So I guess Tom.
Last question.
Oh, last point. Oh, yeah, you got to do the Budridge.
And clip
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
week, you already want to get out.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Damn.
Butters. I apologize.
As always.
Get to the
Ignoring
last
his
question.
fans.
That's right.
Okay, last question from Budridge. Last question from Budridge, Ralph. What is more likely, 6 corners, 6 receivers, or 10 offensive linemen?
Andrew, you're the roster guy.
I mean, they're
guy.
not keeping 10 offensive linemen. I can promise you that.
No way.
I would say 6 corners. I feel like the corner is such a question mark that I feel like they would keep a lot just to be like, they're like, I don't know what I got in Grant Haley and, this other guy over here, Deuce Wallace or whatever. So let's keep a bunch of them and let's throw a bunch at the wall and see what sticks, kind of thing. So I could see corner maybe being the one where they keep some extras, especially like if they do waiver claims where, let's say they add 1 or 2, but they're just not ready to play quite yet. Well, they'll keep them on the 53, but they can't play week 1 because they're not ready. So, it's interesting. They have, so like obviously they didn't play, but like next weekend they're off. So timing wise, like they have a little time to figure all this stuff out. I don't know if this game's going to be played in New Orleans. I highly doubt it. But they have some time to figure it out. But in the meantime, they got to figure out their roster. They got to go to 53. They got to maybe make some waiver claims, potentially some trades, which we talked about. So, but yeah, I still think corner is the biggest question mark on this team. You could say defensive tackle, maybe too, especially with Onyemata getting that suspension. But I would say corner is still, especially with Brian Poole going down. God, that sucks. And Patrick Robinson retiring. Corner is, I could still see Richard Sherman being brought in.
What position do you think? Because in 2006, they did a bunch of churn with the offensive line. They didn't like the offensive line, and they just claimed a bunch of dudes straight off the waiver wire after the final cut down and churned it that way. And what was the year where they had the kicking battle and they cut them all and they signed Will Lutz? So what's a position, if you had to pick one, Andrew, that they might just straight up would be like, oh, that's kind of settled, and they just like, oh my God, they just claimed they claimed 3 dudes, or they claimed 5 dudes off a waiver, and 3 of them came through, and 2 of them are one position. Like, what's one position where you could see them really being willing to churn the bottom of the roster?
I could see it being tight end until, I mean, Juwan Johnson obviously is secure and they'll use him a little bit, but I could see it being tight end until Vanette and Troutman come back. And honestly, even when they come back, like they may say, you know what, we're going to keep juggling at tight end. So tight end, and then I would say definitely defensive tackle and corner. Those are the other 2 spots.
Yeah. So Thomas, before we get out of here, did Budridge, did he send you the clip? I'm
no.
dying. I'm dying.
Still waiting for it.
So close.
So close.
Can you paste it? Can you paste the link in the chat? I guess it's probably a full game. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
He probably found the full
yeah.
game, and so he's trying to. I don't
He's
know,
trying
Matt.
to,
What you
like-
got for us? We'll wait a couple seconds here. You got a clip? You got a clip of the week for us, or was that this?
I cannot post a clip.
Clip too large.
But it is on Twitter.
He said he's on Twitter. Just let me see. Did you tag? Did he tag us on Twitter? Let me go to.
Yes, he did. He sent it to you, Ralph, your personal account.
Oh my God. He found. I gotta get this. I gotta get this. Oh.
I'm watching it right now.
It's amazing. Thomas,
I don't see it.
I sent you the clip in the chat. But stream it for the people. We gotta get this up before we get
Yeah. Dude, Bill, what's his
Where
name
did you send it to me, Ralph? I didn't see it. Okay. Never mind. Okay.
What's this guy?
Oh my God.
Man, they're going nuts.
Dude.
By the way, the Saints, like everyone's dogpiling on this guy. What's his name again?
Dude.
Hardy. What is his name again?
Dude, he's running. He's breaking free.
He looks quick.
He looks quick. He's nimble. And by the way, By the way, we'll
This
get to
team would have won more games if they had put the ball in his hands.
Erxleben at quarterback. Erxleben has better.
Oh, it
he
was
has
against
better-
the Falcons.
Erxleben has better pocket presence than Taysom.
There it is.
Look at those terrible Falcons jerseys.
I mean, look at this. He spins off the dude.
He's
Like-
100% down at the one. With instant replay, this would have never stood. By the way,
I don't know.
he is 100% down at the one.
That-
Look how excited the Saints are.
dude.
They pulled a fast one on the Falcons. Look at it. Look, this is the greatest thing Erxleben's ever done in his life. That is
Look
a
at the-
dime.
Look, fake through it.
Look at
throws
this.
a
Watch
rope.
Ralph down at. Look at this. Watch the knee. Watch the knee. He is down right there. He is down
We instant replay.
right there.
No, he's
Yeah. Look, he's down. He is
Yeah.
down.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
Short.
down.
Yep. Instant
Short.
replay would have taken that one off the board.
Yeah.
See,
so
that's where you're glad that instant replay didn't exist back then, because you know what? Erxleben would have to live the rest of his life having not thrown a touchdown pass in the NFL.
Budrich
Crazy.
MVP.
Crazy.
Budrich MVP
From the
of
top
that
rope.
shit.
Wow.
Top rope.
I forgot to mention people can
That
make
is
clips.
magical. I mean, look, like, obviously, look, we needed something. I think this was like Budrich, man, coming through clutch and delivering for us this gem.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't have pictured something that would have given me more joy.
This
during
must have
this
been a
hour
late
together.
must have been a late December game because they set up the Sugar Bowl field. It was the
It was
Allstate
against the Falcons too.
Oh my god.
Oh man,
That's just that clip is just amazing. Butteridge, you're the man. Thomas, hit the music and we got to get out of here. We know what the clip of the
clip
week
of
is.
the week?
Oh yeah, clip of the week. That's
was
what
it
I
the
meant.
clip of the week?
No, that's the clip of the
No.
week, Thomas. That's what I said.
That's the
Get-
clip of
get
the year.
but this is a great reminder to people. You can edit and create your own clip of the week for the show, and if it's funny, we'll play the best one. Of course, Budrich pulling up the highlight of Erxleben throwing a touchdown. We know what the clip of the week this week will be, but Thomas, play us the clip of the week from the previous show. Might be back for Green Bay, hopefully.
It's
Oh,
on
I know
Budrich.
what I wanted to say. It was about Taysom. Okay, I have one final thought on Taysom.
Oh, here we go.
I just
Man, pull it together, my
He's
God.
lost it over his own jokes.
Yeah. I think you gotta play that again. I gotta watch it again. It's so good.
You want it again? Okay.
Yeah, one more time.
One more time. Might be back for Green Bay, hopefully.
Oh, I know
But-
what I wanted to say. It was about Taysom. Okay, I have one final thought on Taysom.
Oh, here we go.
I just
Dave just losing his shit. Dave,
Man, pull it together, my
he's
God.
lost it over his own jokes.
Yeah.
Courtesy
That
of
is
Arrow
great.
in Uptown New Orleans.
Wow. Excellent. Very well done.
Congratulations.
I love
Arrow.
the
You're
freeze
quick.
frame there too of Dave.
Yeah.
Dave is definitely not making that face in Houston right now. I can promise you
No,
that.
he's not. 10 hours it took him to get to Houston.
Yeah.
It's all right. That'll wrap it up for tonight. Thanks to everybody for joining us. And by the way, you can make your own clips of the week. Follow us on Twitch. Pound the donate button. If you want to be a sponsor, you can sponsor the live stream. Your logo will go right there. It'll be amazing. So do that.
Yep.
And
And
everybody,
the Saints won that game, by the way, in 1982 against the Falcons. They won 35-6 that day. They were not going to lose on a day that Russell Erxleben.
Russell
for a
Wilson.
touchdown. Yeah.
man, you
Slight
fake-
difference.
I hope they
Ralph can't say
fake that
anyone's name
punt.
right.
I hope they faked that punt when they were up 28-7. That would have just been amazing.
It was they were up 14-6. That made it 21-6.
So, anyway, that is a show. I hope this show gave everyone that's trying to survive out here and hunker down. I hope this gave you a little bit of hour and 20 minutes joy, and just kept your mind off things. And maybe later in the week as well if you're listening to it later. But we're praying for you. We're thinking of family and friends that are trying to deal with Ida. We're thinking of you always. Guys, thanks for joining us. Remember, kids, don't shoot your dick off. Until next week, the bar is closed.